My name is Stephanie Christopher. I'm the Program Director for MDIC's Science of Patient Input Initiative, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this panel session on why patient input matters. I will turn things over to our moderator, Barry Liden. Barry is the Vice President of Patient Engagement at Edwards Lifesciences, and he is the Chair of the MDIC Science of Patient Input Committee. He's going to share a little bit about some of our activities in this space, and then he'll introduce our panel. Barry?
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, MDIC, and thanks everyone for being here. I love this new format. It always is nice to break things up and give people a choice as to what it is that they're going to participate in, so hopefully it'll make it worth your while. We're going to have everybody do more self-introductions, but just give a brief introduction of our panel. We have Annie Saha with FDA, Chad Mather with Duke Orthopaedics, Margaret Sheehan with the Michael J. Fox Foundation Patient Council, Laura McLaughlin with Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, Sandy Statz with Exact Sciences, Kara Haas with Johnson & Johnson, and myself. I'm going to do a quick little introduction of what the Science for Patient Input Committee is doing at MDIC, and then turn it over to Annie, who's going to share a few thoughts about what it is that FDA is doing in this area. So we, as many know, we had a work stream, a work process where we developed a framework and a set of methods that were used to, then can be used to assess patient preferences. And that data can be used in a number of different ways. After we were done with that project, we were looking around at, what's next? And initially it was, hey, can we make sure that this gets adopted and everybody is starting to use this? And we are still working on that, but we wanted to expand the scope of this to a broader focus beyond just patient preferences or patient perspectives. And we thought about the idea of calling it patient engagement. But as Kim at Fast Secures has enlightened us, and many others have, and the nomenclature around patient engagement or the patient world is changing, I think it seems every day. Patient engagement is a term of art that really means more about the process of engaging the patient and the patient community. And so we looked at what is the mission of MDIC. It's really around regulatory science. So we decided to come up with a different approach, and that was to look at what is the science of patient input. We had a lot of different ideas as to what it was that we wanted to focus on. We did a survey of all the members that were involved in this project, and the survey said that the #1 area where we still think there could be some work done is on helping in the regulatory pathway. But then after that, helping us identify kind of from a marketing and reimbursement perspective, how can patient input help in that process? And then lastly, the clinical trial side of things. And there are a number of different clinical trial elements that we actually eventually merged into one project. So we actually have, as I said, completed the framework and the methodologies or the methods, and we had some ongoing initiatives underway to support that, including taking one of those methods or some of those methods and using them through what we call the P-Core and Clinical Trial Design Project, where we're actually trying to determine, can patient preferences change the design of a clinical trial, particularly as it relates to the level of science and rigor that needs to go into it. Can the p-value be adjusted in any way to adjust potentially the size of that trial based upon patient preferences? So that is currently underway. We now have two main emphasis or projects. The first one has 3 subcomponents to it. The first one is around clinical trial design, and the 3 parts of that are around the actual, what are the endpoints that patients care about most, and how do you power a trial sufficiently to demonstrate what's most important to patients. Guidelines to actually work with patients and patient communities to improve recruitment and retention. So the logistics of actually getting a trial underway and including enrollment. And then lastly, how do you communicate the results of clinical trials in a meaningful way to the patient community? And then the other project that we're looking at is the various best practices for communicating benefit, risk, and uncertainty to a patient community. And that could include a number of different options, including shared decision-making models. So those are our complementary projects that we're working on right now. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about what is the science, emphasis on the science of patient input, and why does it matter. And so I'm going to turn it over to Annie with the Food and Drug Administration to tell us a little bit more from their perspective what's important.